Okay, today we're going to start with working on arrays because you will need those to do your game of life. So let's do a new worksheet here and let's rename that to arrays. And then we're going to want a couple buttons in here. So I'm going to click here and do a button, and I'm going to say button single array new, and there we go. It's in module 1, so again, let's make sure we name that to be arrays. Just makes our life a little easier when we go to fix code in here. And before we even start the button single array code, I'm going to just, and it doesn't matter if I put this above or below, but I'm going to put it on the top. So this time, last time I had you make that clear, the worksheet button. This time I'm saying when the workbook is opened, go to the worksheet arrays, so make sure your name matches your worksheet, not mine, and clear the contents in that one, and then make the first worksheet, the introduction, activated, so that when we open it, that's what we see first. Now we're going to do the single dimension array, and so I'm just going to put my code in here. I've created an array that is size 19, which actually holds 20 numbers in positions 0 to 19. So that's, the arrays do start with that 0 being the first one rather than number 1 being the first one. And then I'm simply tabbing these in so it looks nicer. In this array, I'm counting from 1 to 20, so I could have used 0 to 19, but we tend to count 1 to 20, and then I'm actually counting by 2s because I said num equals 2. So I said num equals num plus 2. So we're counting by 2s. Then here we're going to display it. We're displaying it both. This one displays it rows 4 to 23. So we're starting in row 4 and in column A. And then this one starts in row 4 but the same column, column 1. And then we print it across. So I'm going to comment this one out first, and so then when we go to run it, I'm going to save it and come over here. It's only going to come down because I commented that other one out. Now when I comment this one back in and do it, it goes across. So I need to move my button down just a little bit, and then we're going to come in here and say click here to see the numbers in my single array. So now we have that, and after I do the letters, I'm saving these first 2 rows for the alphabet, so that's why it's down here. It might look a little bit strange. So now we want a 2-dimensional array button, so let's put it down here and say button 2-dimension array. This is going to be a new one. And so now we have that blank one down here. This one gets a little more confusing. Here's some general information. And again, do comment your codes. It's always really good to do that. So this, this declares an array of 26 rows and 2 columns. So here I did do the 1 to 26 and the 1 to 2. I could have done 0. I could have just put in here, I could have put a 25, comma 1, and that would have given me 0 to 25, and 0, 1, which would have given me the 2. So this is, like I said, this is kind of the default, how it's setting up with that 0, but I'm saying I want it to start counting with the number 1. So you can go both directions, or both ways, both methods, but if you see this one, it's kind of the default. They've changed it to make it so we can do this because people got a little confused. So then we're going to do some more dimensions in here. So num as integer. So it didn't matter what I called those. You don't want to call them row and call. I always put that S on because row and call are words that they understand and they know. So it's just a good idea not to use those. it would mess things up a little bit. Then we're going to dimension this letter that we, which that string that's going to hold the alphabet for us. And then number 65 starts with the uppercase A, which I showed here, and then you'll see here that the lowercase is 32 above that. So there are some things in ASCII code between the upper and lowercase alphabet, and you could go online and see this. If you look for ASCII code, you will find these, and actually the numeric code for every single item on your keyboard. So now we want to put this in the array, and so now we need to do it. Before we just said my array and we had one value in here. Here we're now having two, so we want to put one. We're going from 1 to 2, so we want one in cell 1, 1, which would be the capital A, and 1, 2, which would be the little a. 2, 1 would be the capital B, and 2, 2 would be the little b. So that's what we're doing here. We're not changing the value, we're just using num, and we started that at 65. So we said from calls 1 to 2, so the first time it goes through, the letter is equal to that 65, and we're incrementing that 26 times, so 65 to 90. But then after we've put it in, so we put it in column 1, then I said letter equals, and I didn't change the value of num, but I changed the value of letter. This converts it to the lowercase, and then it goes and puts that in column 2. Then we finished this loop. So now we come back to the rows loop, and this is where we increment that value of num so that we go from capital A to capital B. So that's what that loop is doing. Now we're going to display this loop. And so we're displaying it, we're starting in G7, so row 7, which 7 to 32, and then column G, and G also happens to be 7. It's the 7th letter of the alphabet, and that's where we're going to display them. So if we save this now and go over here, you'll see that it displayed the two-dimensional array just like that. We're going to come in here and edit this text and say, click cat spell to see the letters in my two-dimensional array. Needs to resize that a little bit because it's cutting it off. There we go. So now let's go back. Oh, now what I want to do is display it up here going across. So we're going to come down here at the bottom, and we're going to put that code in. And so you'll see that I still say rows and calls because that's how we determine cells, is we have to say the row first and then the call. But I reversed it over here, and I reversed it because I only want I only want 2 rows. And then I want the capital letters and the lowercase letters. And so rows is 1 to 2. I'm only going to get 2 of those. But the columns now, I'm saying I want the 26. And so you still have to realize in the array, it's still in the same places. In the array, it's displayed if we visualize it like this. But I'm now going to just print it out the other direction. So when I click on this, it prints the other direction. So I hope that makes sense, but get that much on there and save that. It's not quite ready to turn in, but now we're ready to go work on the small grids. So I'm going to start that in a new video. I will be putting this code in images, in images right below the link to this video so that you can actually see that code.